Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the slideshow on creating your paper outline. This first step is about going through and making sure you know exactly what you are putting your evidence together to prove. So start by going back and revisiting your research question and ensuring that it hasn't shifted at all based on the research that you've done so far. After that, you want to revisit those areas of focus that you indicated in your introduction of your paper. If there is anything in those areas of focus or that needs to be added to those, you want to make sure that you do that because those are going to be the groupings for the evidence for your paper. So finalize those. The next step that you're going to want to do is revisit your plan for your counter arguments or counterargument. This is something that I asked you to do before finding sources 9 and 10. So you want to determine whether you're going to have one central counterargument that's pushing back on your thesis as a whole, or if you're going to have some smaller counterarguments that are pushing back on the different areas of focus. That's similar to that sample paper that we looked at about children working in agriculture. If you don't remember what your official plan was, or if you're not sure what the best plan is for you with counterarguments, you can go back to the information that I gave you in that assignment that you did before sources 9 and 10. So I've given you the link here that you can click on to go revisit that. Once you've confirmed all of those key points, you're going to want to go back and dig through all of the quotes that you've collected. If you have 10 sources with 3 or more quotes per source, you're going to be juggling 30 to 50 quotes, possibly more if you had some little one-hit wonders that are giving you extra pieces of information. It's a lot to deal with. So before we can do anything else, we need to dig through that and decide what's useful and what's not. And where it's going to fit into your paper. If you're not sure or you haven't looked at a source in quite a while, remember that you gave yourself some information on those annotation documents, right? So at the top, you had to respond to how you were going to use that source in your paper. And then in those quote collection boxes at the bottom of the source forms, you spent some time putting the quotes in your own words and explaining how they would fit in the paper. So use those to speed up your process of going through that huge, unwieldy set of quotes that you've collected. Now, once you've started that process, you're going to want to choose a tactic in terms of organizing. Back in the day when we were in school, I would sometimes tell people to go ahead and print out all their sources and then cut them up. And then kids would sit on the floor in the classroom and sort of arrange things and try and group them that way. If you are a tactile person, a kinesthetic learner, that might be a good tactic for you. But it may not be feasible given COVID-19. So if you think you might want to pursue that, reach out to me via email and I can explain exactly what I mean. But otherwise, let's go ahead and use this sort of digital method. This is the one that I used when I was working on papers in graduate school. I can't show you the method that I used in undergrad because it was so far back that I didn't use online sources. Yes, people, I am that old. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to create a new Google document. You're going to call it AOI evidence. Please share this with me. It gives me a chance to see what you're thinking about using in your paper. And at the top of this new document, you're going to put your research question because that's sort of the ground for your paper as a whole. Everything grows out of that question. And then you're going to create a series of headings for each area of focus that you mentioned in your introduction. You're also going to want to create a heading for your counterargument or counterarguments. If you have just one counterargument, that's usually going to be found at the end of your paper, so it's probably going to be your last heading. If you've got smaller counterarguments pushing back on areas of focus, put those underneath the areas of focus.